I chose maths because it was one of my favourite subjects at A-level, and I wanted to see where it could take me in career-wise, and I knew that I'd be good at it. Usually I would start my day at about 9ish, and then I'd go to the library for an hour, and then from about 10 to 1 I'd sit in lectures up in the lecture theatre, and then on some days I would have my lunch up in the Maths and Physics Teaching Centre in the social area, or go to the speakeasy in the Students' Union. And then in the afternoons, on alternate weeks, we'd have computer classes where we would try to hone our skills in coding and different languages.
Some of the differences in studying physics at university instead of at school would be more of the freedom and the focus. And when you're in school, you're generally either studying 9 or 10 subjects at the same time. So you get a bit of surface level of everything. When you go to university, it's all in the one thing. And even when it's all in the one thing, you realise how broad the subject is. And the freedom in it, it's not as simple as sitting down in a classroom and you have one teacher and you get one homework, but you get a broad of different lecturers who are experts in each area, and you're learning from people who are on the cutting edge of their field as well. Queen's has a lot of good facilities for lectures, places like the Bell Lecture Theatre or the MLAS Lecture Theatre. Additionally, there are rooms available in the Maths and Physics Teaching Centre, not only for lectures but for smaller tutorial groups where you might be closer to a scenario where you're able to more directly talk to lecturers or people to help you with problems. It also has computer rooms and lab rooms as well, completely designed to make it easier for you to learn as well.
Well, this is a general lab used by all the first and second year students. First years would normally spend on average half a day per week in the lab here. Then in second year it will be 1 day per week, and they do a variety of different experiments throughout the year. Quite a wide variety of experiments here to give students a very general and broad understanding of physics, and experiments are usually used to back up what they do in lectures. And with some interesting things here, like the Stern-Gerlich equipment here, where we heat potassium up to 180 degrees. And if anyone's ever used potassium before, that's quite a cool thing to be able to do. The reason we can do it is because it's under a very, very low vacuum. We've also got some X-ray equipment here, which we use for several different experiments. It can be used for diffraction and finding various different things, such as E-volt sphere, which is named after a former lecturer here from Queen's. All the experiments done at level 2 are Nobel Prize winning experiments, as well as learning about the history of them and how they were developed. You also find out in your studies that a lot of them have connections to people here at Queen's.
This is the computer lab in the Maths and Physics Teaching Centre, and I use it mainly for statistics and learning R and SAS, so different ways that you can solve problems on the computer, and also in applied maths by doing different differential equations.
This is what's known as the Level 3 lab. There are 2 pathways in physics, MSci and Bachelor of Science. Bachelor of Science, the third year they come down here and they do a project in both semesters lasting 7 weeks. And we have things like our medical physics equipment, which is things like the ultrasonics. What it does is we use probes, and the jelly is put on a prosthetic, an arm for instance, and in that arm there is a blood clot. So as the probes moved along, and then once it gets to the clot, then it will bring up a different image, and that's what the students have to find out.
One of the really good things about the physics buildings and the facilities at Queen's concerning physics is how local and central they are to so much other things. When you're tucked in just behind the big main building of Queen's, the Lanyon building, you only have to go a couple of steps if you want to get to the Maclay, or if you're on lunch, get to plenty of places to go for coffee or to eat, or Botanic Gardens if you just want to go for a walk somewhere nice. There's a lot very, very close.
Well, I found it tough, so the first 3 months were tough. It was trying to get your head around, you know, coming in and doing a lecture every day and then going home and learning it, and then trying to get the homeworks around. But once you get to about Christmas, like things kind of settle in, and then you know what you're doing, and you know to always go and ask for help either by the tutorial teachers or your lecturers, because they're really nice and friendly.